We are on live. We can start, Namrata. Please proceed.
Good evening, everyone. I welcome you all. I, Namrata Padgiri, shall be the host for today's session. So, I'm here again with another webinar session on community health with Anajuri. So, moving forward, I would like to brief you all a bit about Anajuri. Anajuri, in simple words, as it suggests, it literally means the bond of love. Milind Datta is the founder of Enajuri, and it is his love for his native land that brought him back from USA to India and to Assam in order to start this non-profitable organization that engages and promotes various initiatives such as striving for social change, loving leadership qualities, and building entrepreneurship capabilities among the Northeastern people. So in this couple of months, we have sort of tried to interact with speakers from various regions via virtual media, and we have tried to take topics which are very current and significant in today's generation. So today we have our guest, Aroon Malini Boruah ma'am. She is an assistant professor from Dibrugarh University. She is teaching Center for Studies in Applied Psychology. She completed her bachelor's degree in Applied Psychology from University of Delhi. She completed her master's degree in Psychological Approaches to Health and Management from University of Bedfordshire, United Kingdom, and master's in Philosophy in Education from Dibrugarh University. Her fields of interest are health psychology, gerontology, socio-cultural issues in health and illness, and Indian psychology and qualitative research. So today's topic of discussion shall be nurturing mental health and wellness. And I welcome you, ma'am, to today's session. And now I would like you to take over the screen. Please, ma'am.
Thank you, Namrata. Thank you, Enajuri team, for giving me this opportunity to give it, talk with this virtual media on a topic that is very close to my heart, and that has become the need of the hour. The more we talk about it, the more awareness, we'll be able to create. When we talk about mental health, although we have come a long way, like I started working here 8 years back. I went to study psychology more than 15 years back. So there was so much stigma around that, but compared to that time, like when I first went out of Assam to study about psychology, and now when I see, it's good to, it's obviously there has been a positive change. People are talking about mental health, there is an awareness among people, but still we still have a long way to go. So whenever I get an opportunity like this, I feel myself really fortunate, really privileged enough to, especially to interact with young people who are more into, social media platform. And I hope that more we talk about it, the more we'll be able to normalize, because the main issue that we face with mental health or mental health awareness is the stigma. Because unless and until we are not being able to fight that stigma, we'll not be able to create the awareness. Okay, the awareness will start once we fight the stigma. And that stigma can be fought the more we talk about it. Because although we have come a long way, but still we don't treat, unfortunately, we don't treat the mental illness in the same manner the way we treat the physical illness, right? Even now, if somebody is physically ill, all our sympathy goes with them. We might even go to their home, to check on them with maybe flowers, with fruits, right? But then if somebody comes from a mental hospital, even if the person has got all better, and then the psychiatrist and the psychologist have released them from the hospital, so obviously that's why they're fit to stay at home. But the community, the people have not yet been able to, they don't accept them that with that open heart. We hardly see that kind of sympathy, but rather there will be that kind of stigma. Oh my God, no, this person have just come out from, staying in a mental health setup, right? So, and I think it's there. Okay, then maybe our attitude towards them will be like, we should avoid that person, instead of going to them with flowers and fruits. Forget about that. I feel like there will be that attitude where we'll be like, okay, let's avoid this person, stay away from him or her. We don't know, because this person has just come from a mental health setup, and that's really unfortunate. On like, although we see the progress, but still that kind of stigmas are still attached to it. So in today's session, I will try to address some of the issues that is related to, mental health. Like, what is it? How do we, and when should we talk about it? Okay, like fighting some of the stigmas, and then what can we do to nurture our mental health and wellness as a whole? So I have prepared a PPT for some visuals. So I would like to share the screen. I hope I'm audible to everyone.
Yes, ma'am, you're audible.
Okay. So the topic that I have chosen for today's session is nurturing mental health and wellness. And as I have put it in here, then let's talk. I always believe that when we talk about mental health awareness, the more we talk about it, the more normalized we'll be able to do. And that is the first step towards nurturing our mental health and wellness. The first step is always, let's talk. Let's talk. In whatever platform, let's normalize it. In even virtual platform, even over a cup of tea, even in canteen, even if we're in a, with a guest, with a bunch of friends, let's just talk about it. So what I have done for today's discussion is to understand what is meant by mental health, and then we'll talk about positive emotions. There are so many ways to nurture our mental health, but with keeping in mind the time constraint and all, I have focused on positive emotions and how can we use these positive emotions for nurturing our mental health and wellness. Okay. So we all know health. What is health? We talk a lot about health, and we say that it is a basic human right. And this is the definition when we talk about health, that it is the state of physical, mental, complete physical, mental, and social, and even spiritual well-being, and not merely the absence of diseases or infirmity. So this definition that has been given by who actually kind of, highlighted or has put the concept of mental health in the forefront. Because before we were talking about health only in terms of physical, physical health. And usually we talk about, we have talked about health only when there is a disease. That if you are sick, then okay, your health is affected. If you are fine, if there is no disease, so maybe we don't talk about it. But it is more than that. Like when you talk about health, mental health and wellness, it's about what are the things that we are doing for ourselves on a regular basis, to attain that state of complete well-being, to attain that state of complete physical, mental, and social and spiritual well-being. And this has led to actually, with this whole definition, the shift has been made toward awareness, towards creating awareness on mental health. So when we say mental health, we have to realize, because if health is a state of complete physical, mental, social, and spiritual well-being, also that component was added later on. So there cannot be any health without mental health. And it can be defined as a state of well-being. It is that feeling, it is that state of well-being which makes an individual realizes his or her own abilities. Like we all are born, we all have certain abilities within us. So if you are in a right state of mental health, that makes you realize about your abilities. It can help you to cope with the normal stresses of life. I'm not talking about something that is very stressful, something that is very traumatic, but then life is stressful. There will be some basic stresses in life. So a person with good mental health should be able to cope with it and work productively, being able to give their best. They will do something productive, and they will be able to make contribution to his or her community. So World Health Organizations have said that if we want to talk about mental health, so these are the complete things that should be there. It is a state of well-being where you realizes your own potentials, your own abilities, where you can cope with the normal stresses of life and you can work productively and is able to make a contribution to his or her community, because we are a social being, right? So it's not like in a right state of mental health, you should be able to do something for the community. So that is, from that definition, we can say that this is the definition of mental health. So it is not, it's more than just the absence of a mental health condition. Most of the time, when we hear the term mental health, we feel that it has something to do with being crazy or being, mad. But it is not like that. It's so much different than that. It is your psychological, social, and emotional well-being. And I feel so bad to hear like how even now people use this term, no, mental. Like we have LGP, we know, like in Assam, we have the Lokpriya Gopinath Bordle Regional Institute of Mental Health in Tejpur. No? So it obviously started as an asylum, but we don't use that term anymore. It is a mental health research institute, like where proper research and, well-being of an individual is taken care for. But still, it's funny, and I don't know, like, how do I say it? It's funny and it's sad at the same time that whenever we go there, we go there with our students every year, and then like, sometimes like from the rickshawala and all, when we say like we have to go to LGP, na bhaiya, can you take us to LGP? And their immediate reaction will be, oh, mental. And then you kind of give you that look, like whether you are going as a patient or you are going, then they'll ask you, right? Okay, so, you work there, with some curiosity, so it's I don't know how do I react to it. Obviously I'm talking about people who are like not that educated, maybe they are not aware, but still that kind of stigma still exists. But mental health is not just about being crazy, being mad. It's more than just it's more than just the absence of a mental health condition. It talks about our complete psychological, social, and emotional well-being, and it is an integral part of our life which impact the way we think, feel, and behave. So well-being, because we're talking about mental health, is a state of complete well-being. So when we talk about well-being, it's not about just when you feel bad or when we are low, but it's about our evaluations, that what you are feeling right now, what you are thinking in your life right now. Okay, and it is one of the cherished goals of humanity. It's something we should all strive towards attending it. And it's nothing to do with being crazy or mad. It's just one of the cherished goals of humanity, and they are actually both personal as well as social, because sometimes, as per the societal given definitions, you might not be well, okay, like you might be having some physical disease, but then you are functioning well and you feel good that I am being able to be productive, I'm being able to contribute to for my society. So, and you are doing well. So it is, it can be said that okay, the well-being is there in an individual. So it can be personal as well as social, because we are social being. Like, how do we connect ourselves in the context of the society? So it becomes both personal as well as social. There are various types of well-being, but the 5 major types is emotional well-being, where you are being able to cope with the stresses of your life. You feel good about yourself, nothing, in general, you feel content, you are happy, and you feel like you can deal with the stresses of life. Then there is physical well-being, where you are exercising, you feel well hydrated, you have a good sleep, you had a good night's sleep. Because sometimes when you have not had a good sleep, right, so next day you might wake up feeling very irritable, right? And then the whole day goes that way. So even the physical well-being is also connected to your emotional well-being. So all these different types of well-beings are actually connected to each other. We just call it as a different types or different components of well-being. Then social well-being, right? We are social being. Like, how many of us, I think most of us will agree that if we had a fight with a friend, or if there is a misunderstanding with a friend of ours, right, and something is not going well with your family, so we don't feel good about it. So as a social being, we also want to be connected to people, how our society people are how our relationships are working out. then workplace well-being, or maybe for the students well-being at your institutes. So there also you need to feel that you are doing something productive, you're being able to do something for the society, you feel good about your work. So workplace well-being is also very important, and societal, that is like how you communicate. It comes from a part of social well-being only, but as a social being, not this community, like as a part of the community, how you are interacting with people, how you are connecting with the individual. So that all of these are major types of well-being, and this is something we have to focus on or talk about on a general basis.
Ma'am, are you there?
Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
I think I just lost connection for some time. Okay, so now when we talk about things like well-being, so well-being, it's like, how do we understand well-being now? Okay, what does it mean to be, that we are having that wellness, we are working towards, and that should be like our goal as an individual, and that should be our goal. Like, maybe we should need to pause and reflect that whether to understand whether I'm having a good well-being or not, whether I'm being able to enjoy that wellness. So maybe we can ask ourselves these questions, and or we can check that whether we are content with our life, whatever. Because see, being content is not about achieving certain things, right? Some people might be having a lot of things, but they are not happy with that. Something might be bothering them. So that is somehow their well-being is being affected. So when we talk about well-being, it's about being able to feel content with whatever you have. Belongingness, you feel that you belong to that community, you belong to this family, you belong to this institute, you belong to this organization. So that feeling of belongingness is also part of well-being. Then sense of achievement, like, and it can be not necessarily, it has to be it has to do with your only academic achievement. It can be like, you have come out of a toxic friendship, or you have come out of a toxic relationship. So that can also be a sense of achievement, right? You have been trying to start a new habit, new healthy habit, like you thought, okay, you have been planning for a very long time to do some physical activity for yourself, but you are struggling and you have not been able to. Now finally, at least you have been able to take like 30 minutes of your day for doing that. So that can also be a sense of achievement, right? Feeling happy, then making a contribution to the society, and no stress. So these are some of the components of well-being, which might help you to see that whether I am being able to feel or experience all of that or not. Or if it's like, even if you're experiencing, to what degree, or where do I stand if I want to rate my feeling of content, or my feeling, whether I'm experiencing stress, or am I be able to deal with stress. Rather, instead of no stress, I'd say, like, if there is a stress, am I be able to cope with it? So these are some of the components of well-being. So now when we talk about nurturing mental health and wellness, mental hygiene is something that we need, these are basically like the tools or the methods or the techniques which kind of help us in maintaining their mental health, right? And it is something which works as a preventive measure, which works as an early treatment thing, right? Because if we want to be fit physically, and then we eat whatever we feel like eating, we don't sleep, you are doing like, sleeping at any time, not drinking enough water, you cannot expect to be healthy. So similarly for mental health also, if you're talking about this feeling of contentment, if you're talking about one should be able to deal with the stresses of life, so you need to do something for that. So mental hygiene is basically those practicing tools, that works as a preventive measure, that works preventively towards maintaining our mental wellness and help increase resilience. So mental health wellness can be attained, or we can nurture it once we use this mental hygiene, some tools, some things that we do for ourselves. So when we talk about mental hygiene, those are basically focused on maintaining mental health and preventing the mental disorders. Like when we talk about mental disorders or mental health, it's like we don't talk about it at the early stage, okay? And we don't do enough. So that's why today I'm talking about nurturing it, that we don't have to wait when it has become extreme. Like if with physical illness, if there is a fever, right? If the fever goes in 1 day, 2 day, like, okay, you don't might see a doctor, you don't take medications. But then if that fever persists for 1 week, 2 weeks, and you don't go and see a doctor, you don't know what is the reason behind. Is it typhoid? Is it a COVID? Or it can be for various, is it like a viral attack? So similarly for mental health also, at a very earlier stage, you need to identify, you need to focus, right? Because unfortunately when the person has committed suicide and the person has done, so then we like, okay, something was going through there, maybe the person was going through something or more, or even worse, we end up judging the person. But why don't we talk about it? Why don't we talk about it at the initial stage, right? What are we doing to maintain that mental health of of the individual? So more, educational programs are required. Like today we are sitting here and talking about it. I'm sure like at least we'll be able to reach out to few people who might need to hear this, or, and who might needed this kind of awareness, at least so that they know that this is not, I am suffering alone, and it's not, abnormal to feel that way. Because most of the time, because of the taboos that is attached to mental health, what happens, the person who is going through a mental health crisis, they end up blaming themselves. They feel that I am the one, maybe I am not strong enough, right? And I'm not trying hard enough. So they, kind of feel that way as well. So that's why more educational programs are also required for maintaining mental health. So promotion of a stable emotional and family life, that is also required. That is very important. And prophylactic and early treatment services, what we are doing at the initial stage, so that it can work as a preventive measures instead of making it worse. So now this is about like mental health, well-being. And now let's see some of the techniques that we can use. There are various techniques, but I will be talking about some for today that will help you, and something that we all can use that will help in nurturing our mental health and well-being. So positivity or positive emotion is one such thing. Okay, it sounds very basic, that what is it, like be positive or stay positive. But by understanding that what is actually positivity or what is actually optimism and how do we use it for our benefits, it can make a lot of difference. So we can define positivity or optimism as the faith or belief in a better future that provides the hope and confidence to realize it despite the uncertainties. This definition actually came during COVID times only. As you can see, there's one of the psychologists, Paul T. Wong. He's a very senior psychologist in 2020. So this definition is very applicable from those days when we were not being able to see any hope. We don't know what is there tomorrow, and still, without being able to know, without being able to see what happens tomorrow, and still we are keeping that hope amidst that uncertainty, that is actually positivity or optimism. It's not about just be happy and feel happy, but rather being realistic and even in the time of crisis, you are not giving up on hope. Okay, you're not giving up on hope, and you are believing in a better future. So when we talk about positivity or positive emotions, emotions are our feelings. how we are feeling. And when we say feelings or emotions, it happens on a various level. It's like how do our physiologically we are feeling, how we are understanding that particular situation, and what are the facial expressions. So emotions are something which is hardly you can hide, because it's like so many things happening at the same time. You are feeling that heartbeat, or you are feeling that butterflies in your stomach, right? You end up showing that gestures, your smile. Just reflect back on yourself only, like whenever we are happy, how our everything, our body language and all only changes, right? And similarly when we are sad, that automatically our expressions, our gestures, everything change. So like recent researchers, new researchers have seen that experiencing emotions like happiness, excitement, joy, hope, and inspiration is very vital for anyone who wants to lead a happy and healthy life. So if you want to be fit, not just psychologically, even physically, being able to experience this happiness, experience different kinds of positive emotions can be very useful. It can be very instrumental. Okay. But the good thing is you don't need to experience them all the time to reap the benefits of positive emotions. So see, being positive or stay happy means you cannot expect that somebody has something bad has happened to a person. It's like, okay, be positive, be happy. It doesn't work that way, right? And also, if we talk about positive emotions, so it's like you don't have to feel it all the time, because feeling happy all the time is also not normal, right? But then how we can reap the benefits of it in that limited time period when we have experienced it. And the thing with positive emotions are they are often fleeting moments, okay? And it can be the ones that make all the hard work and struggling in life worth it, the spice that brings flavor to your life. So I'm sure you all have been able to experience it. Like, for example, you have worked so hard for example, and then finally, like, all the hard work, and when you finally get that deserving result, or finally you got that your dream job, or something that you have been working towards, so it's a very fleeting moment. It's there for a very short period of time. You don't experience it for a long period of time. Like most of the time when people have been struggling for something for a very long time, and when they finally attend it, and then when we ask, like, I don't know, it just it happened at that few moment, in that fleeting moment. No, it stays for a very short period of time. But then that fleeting moment is so beneficial that it makes all the hard work. That 2 minutes of actual positive emotion, that happiness is so worth it, that that make all the struggle worth it, that kind of bring the spice to your life. And it works as a upward spiral. Obviously individual difference, personal histories, all these also come into play, and it also shape the emotion one experience in life. Okay. And when we experience positive emotions, so it's like it works as an upward spiral. So you feel happy. I'm sure most of you have, if you wanted to get something from your parents, from your teachers, the smart one have always seen the mood of the teacher or the mood of the parents, right? And then maybe you would have gone and asked the favor or the things that you wanted to them. If you have gone to them in when they are not happy, when they're already having a bad day, so you are gone. So you can see that it might not be related to you, but then how, if somebody is experiencing positive emotions, automatically uh, they are like feel good, and all the good things will happen. So similarly, when you are angry, it kind of, you have put like a blame lens on it. Everything you see, you start like seeing in the downward spiral, that everything is going wrong, and you start blaming everyone. So similarly, the positive also leads to another one. It works as a spiral, in a spiral manner, in an upward spiral, and it kind of create a contagious effect. Whenever we see babies, or whenever we see cute videos, right? So it automatically, you see that happiness, you see that smile, and it automatically brings that smile in our face. So you see, our automatic response is, when you see somebody smiling, then we automatically, even if we don't know that person personally, so we end up smiling back. So that is the natural tendency of an individual, right? So it kind of create a contagious effect. So although it stays for a short period of time, and you don't need to experiencing all the time, but then you can use it for for your benefit to the maximum. Okay, so mental experience can be both intense and both pleasurable. So that is how positive emotions work. So how we can utilize it, how we can use it, let's talk about it, which will help us in nurturing our mental health, because we know that positive emotions can make us feel good, and fortunately or luckily we don't have to feel it all the time. Just we need to know how we can reap the benefits of that positive emotions that we have experienced it for a very short period of time. So for that, we first need to be aware of what emotion we are exactly feeling. Okay, because with positive emotion, what happens is that they're very kind of mixed up. Most of the emotions we don't understand the differences. Okay, so we need to know which emotions they are, what is their purpose, and how can we improve our experience of them, either in quantity or quality. So what effects they have on us. So we need to be aware, like if you're feeling a particular positive emotions, so which emotions? Okay, how do I do more of the things that will help me to experience more of that particular experience, that emotion, and what effect it can have on us. So there are so many positive emotions. So I have highlighted few, the most common one, because see, it's the thing I like about, they're very subtle. Negative emotions are very loud. Okay, they like, they loud, they scream. And when happy thing is like, you feel happy for some time and then it's gone. And sad, like if you are sad, like 100 good things happen in one sad thing, it will stay for you longer. That is the nature of the negative emotions. Whereas positive emotions are subtle, they are like the little whisper. Okay, but how do we make use of it? Let's discuss few positive emotions, and we see that how do we appraise it and what can be the outcome of that experiencing that positive emotion. So joy. Joy is one of the very common positive emotion. So when we say joy, it is like a feeling of elation, no? Happiness, exhilarating, okay, exhilaration feeling, often experienced as a sudden spike due to something good happens. So it just happened like a suddenly, right? It's like a sudden spike that happens. Something good has happened and you are like, there is no, you are in the seventh cloud, like you don't know where you are, like, you feel like you are floating or something, right? So how do we appraise or how do we understand that joy, emotion of joy? We think of it as safe. When we experience joy, emotion joy, we feel safe. We become familiar. We become, more progressive. Okay, and the tendency is that we become very playful. When you are happy, even if you're like the most, Kharoos kind of a person also, when they are experiencing joy, and then you might like, okay, they're in a different mood. So you become very playful. They might be, cracking jokes and you say something, they won't mind. So it brings out that nature, that playful nature within you, like a child, isn't it? When you are experiencing joy. So if you have an awareness of it, and if you know that what it has, what outcome it has brought, and the outcome is you end up acquiring skills even without knowing. If you are enjoying your job, okay, if you are enjoying something, if you're experiencing joy, so what happens that you end up acquiring skills even without knowing, because you are in that happy mood. So that is the outcome of joy. And see like how joy can be so beneficial for us, experiencing joy. So what more like can we do to experience it? Then another is interest. Actually, interest is like so subtle and it's so quiet. Sometimes we don't even consider it as like a positive emotion. When we say positive emotion, most of the time happiness, joy, all this comes to our mind. But interest is also a positive emotion. When you find something, that feeling of curiosity. Okay, what is it? Fascinations, which demands and capture your attention. So the appraisal is that when you see you see or you think of it as something that is safe, something that is novel, something that is mysterious. And the tendency will be you will explore because you find it interesting. So you high chances of there is you will explore about it more, right? And the outcome of it is you will gain knowledge because you are curious. That's why you will put your attention, you will explore, and then you will end up gaining knowledge and you feel energetic. So that is again another interesting, interest itself is a very low-key positive emotion. It also has its own benefits. Then hope. Hope is something that I have personally learned. I'm sure most of you might also relate, especially last few years after COVID and post-COVID, right? And when you were going through a difficult time, but still you feel optimistic, you anticipate a positive future, that You might not see what is going to happen, but you know that there will be better. So this is usually the fear the worst, but still yearning for better. So you know this can happen. So it's about being more realistic. Okay. So positive emotion is not like about being realistic. Sometimes that negative, like, you know, being more realistic. So it's like the worst can happen, but still you are hoping for the better. And actually hope also kind of make us more inventive. Like, for example, 4 years back, this is 3 years back, we would not have thought about, especially in this part of the country, all this like online session and all, right? Hardly. When, how many of us have talked about Zoom or Gmeet and all, right? So maybe it was difficult also to explore, like we have to be satisfied with the limited resources that we have within this reason. But although we were staying inside, right, but then it is the hope that what best we can do within this given situation. So we became more inventive. We hold this webinar culture, or things started, right? So yes, that that hope within us has made us inventive, and it has also increased our resilience, right? That resilience and bouncing back, that no matter what the situation it is, we are self-sufficient, we can bounce back, we can fight with any situations. So hope also leads to this kind of resilience. Then inspiration is again feeling engaged, uplifted, and motivated by something that you have witnessed. So when we see somebody doing that, like like when I see these young people coming up with these creative things, I feel inspired. Even when I any kind of stories, like any kind of inspirations, okay, they have been able to do it, right? So you feel that is also a positive emotion. Actually, when we don't talk about these inspirations, hope, interests, but they're very relevant positive emotions. So you kind of feel motivated, and you witness the human excellence, like, oh my god, now people in this kind of difficult situation also, they have been able to make it so far. So you feel like I will also be able to do that. So you also aspire to excellence, right? You also gain skills, you also gain morality. So that is the good thing about inspiration. Then another one, I'm sure it's very common and it's very relevant for the young people, like when we talk about emotion of love. So it is like, actually, I'm not talking about the love that is shown in the Bollywood movies. Unfortunately, most of the portrayal of love is very toxic and very negative. But when you can actually experience love, not necessarily only the romantic love, but any kind of love towards humanity, towards a cause, so it is the strongest of positive emotions, strongest of all the positive emotions. So it is that feeling of deep and enduring affection for someone, something like, which is like, and it brings out that best within you, where you have the willingness to put their needs ahead of your own. You become selfless, right? We human are like, naturally we are selfish. It's there, right? We always think about our own good. So when you can experience that actual the love as a positive emotion, you will have that willingness to put others' needs before your own. Okay, and that's a good thing, right? Where you are becoming selfless, and it can be directed towards an individual, a group of people, or even all humanity. Like Mother Teresa love for humanity, that has brought her here, right? That has made her sacrifice her own things, and doing for the poor, doing for the underprivileged, right? So it has it's been able to, and actually you experience all the emotions when you experience the emotion of love. Like you experience joy, you experience hope, you experience interest, you experience inspirations, and so on. So it's a very strongest of all the positive emotion, we can say. So it's like positive emotions, and it create that spiral, the contagious effect that I have said, that it lead to one with the another. So you become more playful, you become more exploring, you learn to savor, you learn to dream, and the conditions or the outcome of it is you learn to trust, you learn to form bonding, you learn to be in the community. You feel yourself as a part of the community or part of something bigger than I or myself. And it is also related to your health, be it physical health, be it psychological health. And it has been proven by psychology. I'm not going into the research, empirical part, but then if you will see, they will find out that there are lots of researches which has found that experiencing this kind of positive emotions, having a good, bonding, that community bonding, love, all these are related to your health. Okay, because it will keep you hopeful, it will help you to fight any crisis, right? And it will nurture your mental health and wellness. So these are some of the positive emotions, some of the things that we all can use for our mental health and wellness on a regular basis by trying to experience. With this, actually, I'd also like to say that I'm sure most of you, we all of us actually feel good whenever we go through some old pictures of happy moments. No, it can be with our friends of a trip. And if it has happened even 1 year back also, like going through those pictures also kind of make us feel so happy. So similarly, you can make like a portfolio, or you can keep like a, your coping tool, your coping box, or like, nowadays it's going like a trend now, your happy corner, no, my happy space. People are using it. Even I don't know how many of them are really understanding the concept of it, but all this actually comes from this part of, positive emotions only when we say like my happy corner. So because see, what is it like when you sit there, it makes you feel good. Maybe it experience, even if you had a long day, you had a bad day. So that being in that particular space makes you feel good. So similarly, you can make like a box where you can keep your photos. You can some beautiful songs, or you can put some like when you talk about joy, what is coming to your mind. So you can put it there, like in the form of songs, form of pictures. So whenever you are not having a good day, maybe you can go through it and feel good about it. Maybe knowingly, unknowingly, we all of us are doing it. No, I usually go through old pictures sometimes, like watch my favorite movie on repeat, right? So because that kinds of make me feel good. So we all can use it like a form of like our coping toolbox whenever we are upset or whenever we're sad, because we are talking about mental health. For physical health, we need to build our immunity and all, right? So for that, we need to maybe do exercise, we need to eat healthy, which is also very important for our mental health and well-being, right? So some tips that we all can do for our mental health and well-being, because yes, yeah, am I audible and
Yes,
visible?
ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, you are not audible now.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Okay, okay, yes, ma'am. I can
Yeah.
hear.
Sorry, my internet is very unstable today for some reason. It's just going and coming. So some tips that we all can use for our mental health and well-being is, see, life is challenging. There will be stresses, and then it's not you and I. Like sometimes we feel that it's me whose life is only hard, and I'm only going through a difficult time. So every one of us goes through times where we feel depressed, we feel sad, we feel it, that how can I be that person who is not being able to cope with that situation, or am I not resilient enough? So no matter how healthy you are, how resilient you are, how happy you are, still you might go through mental health crisis. Because see, even the strongest of the strongest person, even the person who is living the most healthy life, right, might obviously fall sick, right? No matter how healthy you eat, how health conscious and how good you take care of your health, but still we fall sick. We might go through various physical illness, maybe fever, or headache, or whatever it is. So it's very natural, it's okay that we might have to deal with certain situations. So on a regular basis, I feel that we might take out some time for ourselves, to unwind the day. It, what you were doing to unwind, like to end the day on a good note. Never go to sleep feeling all stressed out, and don't fall asleep. I know it has become a thing now. We have this habit of going for our mobile phone, right? And we fall asleep by looking at it. And then what you were, watching before going to bed, so it stays, those stimulations also stays with us, so it also starts affecting our sleep. Again, sleep is very important thing, maintaining good sleep hygiene, it's again like a whole topic to discuss, but that is also very much related to your mental health. So always take out some time for yourself to unwind at the end of the day. It can be like watching a funny movie when you are sad, hanging out with a friend, that community, that people, that social, that work as social support. Obviously, a trustworthy friend, going out for a tea or after a hectic day or a walk, or maybe finding that space now with your coping box that I said, where you have put all the happy memories of your life, right? Or that happy corner where you like to sit and unwind your day. I think we all should have that space within ourselves, even if it's like very small, but we should have that space for ourselves, which will help us in nurturing our, mental health and wellness. And it should not wait until some crisis situation has happened. This is something which we all should try to do on a regular basis. And few more tips on self-management, that, even if you're having a bad day, don't talk, avoid negative self-talk. Most of the time we feel, oh, only bad things happen to me, I am only loser and I cannot do that. So avoid this kind of self-talks, because you keep on saying and your brain also starts to believe in that. Okay. And then that kind of becomes your reality. So try to avoid this kind of negative self-talks. Use positive affirmation if that helps. Start your day with something positive. These are very basic, but then on a regular basis, it's very doable. That's why I have put these things. It's very doable. It's very feasible for all of us. Maybe start with a positive quotes or with a positive affirmations, and stop comparing with others. Everybody's are in their own timeline. Everybody has their own time zone, right? And if we start comparing ourselves with others, so our happiness is our happiness. It's you, right? And if you start comparing with others, it's like a never-ending process. I know we live in a society. It's like how, we are part of a collective culture. So it's like we always measure our achievements, measure our success in comparison to others. If this has got a job at age 23, why you have not been able to get at 25? Or if so, you have to stop doing that. If you want to good mental health, then sleep well, stay hydrated, even drinking good water. It looks very basic, but proper sleep hygiene, sleeping, having that 8 hours of sleep is very important. It's directly related to your mental health and hygiene. Healthy diet, right? Try to avoid too much of caffeine. I hope, most of the time, to cope with stresses, we end up doing unhealthy thing, like maybe drinking, smoking too much. So that actually escalates the problem. Instead of solving it, it escalates the problem. Then maybe for students, regular study habits, taking small breaks in between. Even if you're working, like take out some time in between, right? Don't just work and then no time for yourself. Stay focused in with your life, your goal, what you are doing. Then exercise also matters. I always believe that mind and body is so connected. I am a person of health psychology, and so I cannot emphasize it enough, that how that our mind and body is connected. So when we nourish our physical body, our mental body also will also be nourished. Similarly, when we nourish or nurture our mental health, it also reflects on our physical health as well. Maybe practice deep breathing regularly. And lastly, the most important, these are the tips that we can do for our self-management on a regular basis. And these are something for everyone, not like you are, sick, you have some disorder, then you do. And if all this still doesn't work for you, if after that also, if you are struggling, you feel that, it's not working for you and you are not being able to cope, then please, I cannot, don't hesitate, don't feel bad to seek professional help. Okay. And it has nothing to you being weak. It has nothing to do with being a strong person or being a weak person. It can happen to anyone. All the time we it's not necessary we'll be able to deal with things on our own, right? So don't feel or don't hesitate to seek that help. So with this, I will stop from my part. So if there is any queries or any question, I would like to take that.
Thank you, ma'am, for the session. The explanation was really very detailed and it was actually nurturing.
Okay, okay, I'm glad. Yeah.
Yes, I made a few observations throughout
Mhm.
the session. Ma'am, as you say, that happiness is contagious.
Yeah.
So, ma'am, all the emotions are the same. Like it spreads. So, ma'am,
Yes. Yes.
it depend on the company we keep. Like our
Yes.
company matters a lot. If they
Yes.
are having a happy atmosphere, then we
Mhm.
will also be happy, right? So
Yeah.
it really depends on the atmosphere we live in. Our
Mhm.
company should be good. Our friend circle should be good. So
Yes.
this will be one thing through which we can keep our mental health well.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. True. Have you heard of this line that you become the average of the 5% that you meet or interact on a regular basis? So choose your, peer companion wisely. Right. But
And
that
also,
doesn't mean that yeah. But it
and
doesn't
also,
mean that if somebody is going through a bad time, so you abandon that friend. No,
yeah,
right? That's why I'm like choosing that positive emotions very wisely, very carefully, because in today's time we have been, this positive, be positives, positive vibes only has become a thing. We see it like as a hashtag on posters on restaurant. So that doesn't mean that you like something bad has happened and like, oh, be happy. It's not like that, right? But then you should be more realistic, and then it's not necessary that you'll feel happy all the time. And then yes, choose your friends wisely, but be with that happy companion. But at the same time, if somebody is going through a difficult time, your friend, your known person also, be kind enough, be able to observe, because we have to act as a community if we want to nurture mental health. That is very important. This is something we cannot do alone, right? So you, I, and everybody needs to work as a community, right? And we need to empathetic, and we need to be kind to each other if we really want to make a difference, if we really want to fight the stigma.
and also the thing is that the human beings have a tendency of acquiring some things whenever we are
Mhm.
with some friends, like uh, some happy things, like if they're using some particular catchphrases, then we also
Hmm.
apply while
Yes.
we speak. So these are the small things which can actually keep us happy. And
Yes.
then
Yes.
as you say that if our friend is sad, then it's not
Hmm.
like we have to completely abandon him or her.
No, no. Yeah.
The thing is that we can't really, like, if we advise them to be positive or to be not sad, it comes, time heals. All these things are like temporary. It actually doesn't work when we are
No,
actually.
no.
So then in that case, what can actually work, and how can we deal in such situations to like make our friend come out from that, uh, yeah, from
Mhm.
sad.
Yeah. Yeah. I would suggest, don't say anything, don't do, just be there for them, you know be there. Sometimes obviously, depending, I cannot say a generalized thing, because the intensity of the issue, what the person was actually going through. Be kind and be there, just be an empathetic listener. If the person is wants to say something, listen to it. If the person doesn't want to say immediately, wants its own space, then honor that space. Okay, because sometimes I also see, like, I also say these things to my students carefully, that now everybody has become very everything happens in a very extreme minute times, no? That we are becoming very aware. So even if it's like, somebody said from, no, you are maybe upset, you are becoming depressed, so talk to me, I'm there to listen. It doesn't work that way. You can just be there, right? Be there. And if it is if it still persists for some time, and it's affecting their daily functioning and all, then maybe you can suggest it is not just mere sadness, maybe it is more than just sadness. Maybe the person is depressed, but you don't know, then maybe you can suggest for a professional help and all. You can bring it light to the, you can talk to the people that are close to them, maybe the family, and if required, you can help them or tell them regarding professional help. I think that might work. But you have to understand that space thing, like at that moment you cannot be like, oh come on, I'm there, like, as you said, like, it might not work. Be positive, time will heal. Because what the person is going through, let the person experience it. Because positive emotion doesn't mean that we are not acknowledging the negative emotion. Okay, negative emotions are also required. in a way. How required? Because if you are so happy and then you are so in your own world that you don't see a car coming towards you, you don't seek that danger, that is not going to bring out any good, right? Because evolutionary, from an evolutionary perspective, like why the negative experience emotions are always, I said now that it is louder, it screams compared to positive emotions which are very subtle, because that was required now, that is something that helped them to survive, like it's like fight instinct, that when the early men like our ancestors, they could see that okay, some danger is coming. If they were so in the happy eating, drinking, merrymaking, if they couldn't seek, so they could have been killed, right, anytime. So that was there, that is there, in like as a part of evolution. So that's why they survive, and that's why we are here today, right? So that is also required. Okay, but then as positive emotions is related to our mental health, it can bring out so much good towards us. So it's just knowing, learning the skill of utilizing it in the right way. That is actually what I trying here to say.
Ma'am, actually, small gestures can also be very helpful, like as I do with my friends. Like if they are
Mhm.
sad, or if I am sad, then what they do is like simply we can go for small walks. Then we can
Yes,
have
yes,
food, can have ice creams together.
yes.
All these
Yeah,
things
yeah.
can be really helpful to deal with
That's
this
really
issue.
helpful. Actually, it's very small gesture, but that's make a big difference, right? And if it is nothing very intense, then you'll be also fine. The next day or by the night, you'll be fine. But as I said, now if that persists for a long period of time, then I said, like at the end, that's why I put this thing now. Don't hesitate to seek the professional help, right? Because that happens with fever and normal stomach ache, no? So 1-2 days we don't go and see a doctor, right? We just try to do maybe some home remedy, or we do, basic medicines, and we rest. So and if we're fine with that, then it's okay. But if we don't feel better even after, then we obviously, without any wastage of time, we go and see a doctor. So same thing. Now we should address, or we should treat the mental illness also in the similar manner, right? So yeah.
Ma'am, and also, as you say, that we need to have interest in things. We need to be curious. We need to be inquisitive.
Mm,
So, ma'am,
mm,
true. Like if we explore new things, then in some way we feel young again. Like if we
yes.
don't know something, and we come to know about it, like all of a
Mhm,
sudden after living so many
mhm.
years, then
Yeah.
it makes us feel younger. So
Yeah.
in that case also, what we can do is that explore new things, and in the process,
Mhm.
our mental health will remain stable. What I
Yes,
think.
yes. Yes. This on a regular basis, the things that we can do now for nurturing our mental health, right? Yes, of course.
And then I have one question. Uh,
Mm.
as you have said in one of your slide that about the educational programs, what educational programs can really help in like actually contributing to mental health?
Like today, the one that we're doing, right? The more we talk about, like this is also an educational program. Now it's not becoming like a uh, it's more educative, right? I might, because see, for mental health, for dealing with mental health, we have to, it's more like one-to-one person. It has to be like a very close group, right? But today, the one that I'm doing, it's more educative. At least you got to know some tips, you got to know some idea that okay, this is normal for me to do, or this is how mental health, it's, what I used to think about mental health, right? So this can be educational programs. So more maybe community mental health programs, right? Some of the most sometimes like our students go maybe in the form of street play for some people, or maybe in the form of pamphlets. Anything that you do which is informative, which is educative. Okay, so those educative programs can really help, to create the awareness and to take our mental health seriously. So this can be a anything that we do, like more informative, anything to um, to give knowledge to the people, can be the educational programs which will help for create the awareness around mental health, and also to nurture our mental health, right? Like we do this health camp now. Similarly, maybe we should do more of mental health camps
Mhm.
as well.
Okay,
Yeah.
ma'am. So thank you again. Like this session was really very informative and interacting as well.
Thank you, Namrata.
Ma'am, we hope to have such further sessions as well in the coming future with you, obviously.
Yes,
So,
sure.
ma'am, thank you
That will be
being
my
here.
pleasure.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you,
And all.
Anazuri team, Namrata and Priyanka for having me here. It's lovely to see you, these young people, coming together and then like doing something for the community and choosing this relevant topics. Yeah, I have heard a lot. I've been hearing a lot about Anazuri from Priyanka from a very, very long time actually. But then yeah, finally it's good to be here and doing this for everyone. I hope the audience, although I couldn't see like the number of audience, so I hope that's the audience who are there with us today live are also benefited from this program in some way or the other. Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much for joining us today. We are
Thank you.
honored. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. We finish it in 1 hour exactly.